Okay, Miss Shilaken,
Yes.
here with KLAZZY Magazine. I am honored to have you here in my presence.
Yes, thank you.
What do people just call you Shilaken, or what do people normally call you?
Yes. Ever since middle school, really elementary school, Shilaken came about, but people have always called me Shilaken. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce it, so it's Shilaken, Shilakan, like it's too many versions of it, but the real way to say it is Shilaken.
So that's your real name?
No. My
Okay.
real name is not Shilaken.
Okay.
But
Well, you ain't gotta tell me that's up to you. But why they call you that?
That's my brand. Ever since I was young, when I was in 5th grade, I came up with Shilaken. Everything I've ever made creatively has always been labeled as Shilaken. So I always put any class project, Shilaken is going on it. Any school project, Shilaken is going on it. Anything. I used to be in the patrol for the school, Shilaken. I'm always putting Shilaken on everything. So yeah, people just know me by Shilaken.
Is that something that's just based on, like, are you from Chicago?
No. Okay, so let me tell you the quick story behind Shilaken real quick.
Okay.
When I was in 5th grade, I was in a play, and my name was Shiloh, and my favorite word at the time was crack-a-lackin'. So you combine the two, and you get Shilaken. And so to me, honestly, Shilaken is not only my brand, but a word, but it's also like a verb. So I've seen people use, like, they'll be like, oh, like, I'm Shilaken this, or I just feel like it's kind of a way of expressing something, or it could be adverb, a verb, a noun, any way that you want to take it.
Okay. So creativity, like, what do you feel like your creativity started in your life?
I would say, okay, so at a very young age, my thing was duct tape. Like when that was really trending, I used to make duct tape shoes, duct tape wallets, duct tape shirts, duct tape anything.
What? Shoes?
Yes.
Out of duct tape?
Yes. So I gotta find. I made like a couple pairs, but
okay.
Duct tape shoes. That was my thing. High top duct tape shoes. So I did everything out of duct tape except the laces. Laces were real laces, but everything else was out of duct tape. The side of the shoe.
What year is this?
Probably about, it's 2022, so probably about 2010.
Wow.
About 2010, maybe 2009.
Okay.
But yeah, duct tape shoes, and then after that, I used to make a lot of stuff out of cardboard. I used to make like pinball machines. I used to make just random stuff out of cardboard, and then I started getting into my, like, this sounds crazy, but like the weapons, like I was really into like making homemade weapons. So making like rubber band guns, making guns out of pens, making stuff out of like safety pins, making stuff out of Q-tips, everything. Like that was my thing. Or like metal hangers. Yes, I used to make slingshots, like the really good slingshots out of metal hangers. That was always something. And then really started my brand. I got into making bonnets and do-rags, so satin-lined hair accessories for people with curly hair like me. Mm-hmm. And that was really where I started. And then I was like, I can really sew. So when I got to school, I go to Spelman. When I got to school, I was like, let me start venturing out, making other clothes, making 2-piece outfits. I'm from the Midwest, so in Atlanta, no clothes is a thing. Showing a lot of skin is a thing. And I was like, I can make clothes like this. And so that was definitely selling. And then the pandemic happened. I went back home, and that's when I really got into deconstructing clothes and reconstructing them. So, for instance, this I made probably about a year and a half ago. It's made out of 10 different pairs of jeans. So I deconstruct the jeans, and then I cut out these stars and put the stars on them. I also made a jacket out of 5 different pairs of corduroy jeans with a satin lining on it. But I realized my main thing is sustainability. So a lot of things that I make are from something else. So like this is from jeans. Mm-hmm. These are jeans. They're just stacked. I just stacked them, made them extra long. But like a lot of things I make, sweatshirts, they're made out of blankets, or pants, they're made out of blankets, or a tablecloth, or a curtain. Mm-hmm. Just really seeing what I can make with it. And yes, I do consider myself a designer, but I really consider myself an artist.
Definitely.
I would say all my pieces are statements. Everything I make is one of one. So if you would have seen this past fashion show, I made this jacket. I call it a dragon oragi, and it had spikes on it. And that was something that I had been thinking about that I wanted to make for a while. And I finally just, put my idea, and it was really cool to see it come to fruition. But yeah, it's just, I would say it's more artist pieces, just making it speak, and more work of art. That's why I love fashion shows.
So you've always been creative, like since really, really young.
Yeah, since really young, I've always been get into it. I love to work with my hands. That's always something I've always been into.
Tell me about the first piece of clothing outside of the duct tape shoes. Tell me about the first piece of clothing that you made.
Okay. So the first piece of clothing that I made, it was actually for a project in my AP studio class when I was in high school. And it was a jean jacket. So the jacket was made out of a black pair of jeans, a blue pair of jeans. It had fur on it, but the blue pair of jeans that I used, it actually had fake blood on it because I used it as a vampire costume a couple years before. So it was just 2 pairs of jeans and some fur. They were super skinny jeans, so I used the black jeans as the arm. The blue jeans, it just had a whole bunch of holes in it. The fake blood on it, I used it as the body piece. At that time, I didn't know about making patterns, so I was honestly just always in the mirror trying to fit it to me. Okay, this fits, let me cut it. Oh, okay, this fits, let me cut it. And then the fur, I just put it around the edge, and I was like, yeah, this looks real cute. So to this day, I still have that item. And I actually haven't sold the item just because I'm like, this is one of my first pieces. Like,
right.
I don't know if I want to sell it.
That needs to go in a museum somewhere one day. Like, you never know. That first piece. Like, I could imagine somebody had like Alexander McQueen's first piece.
Right.
Or, Oscar de la Renta, someone like that. That's pretty cool. So you were creating stuff with no patterns. You was just eyeballing it pretty much. Like trial and error.
Yes.
And how old were you then?
What would you say?
How old were you then?
At that time, how old was I? 17?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then take us beyond that. So you were making stuff in high school. Were you making stuff for friends, or everything was just for yourself?
It was AP Studio. So I was actually in AP Studio, 3D. That was really my time where I got to shine because I just love making stuff. I actually made a man sitting on a chair out of corks at that time as well. And then like a chain out of some bottle caps. But that was really the time when I was like, okay, let me start getting into what I really like to do.
So AP Studio, this is a class in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything you did was just from an artistic standpoint. You weren't really in it from a fashion and design standpoint yet.
Oh no.
Just being creative.
Yes.
When do you feel like you got to that point where you started focusing more from a fashion standpoint?
Okay, so I would say, that's really hard because before I was just creating things, seeing what I can make, just really testing my skills to see, can I make this sweatshirt? Can I make this jacket? But I would really say last year, around this time, a little bit before this time, I had a conversation with a friend, and he was telling me, I was telling him about my work, and he was really telling me like, you should really be in the Clark Homecoming. Like the Clark Homecoming was coming up, and he was like, you should really be in it. Your design should be in it. You should be a designer for the show. And at that time, I was working a lot. I kind of slowed down on my craft. I hadn't been sewing a lot. Hadn't really been doing anything creativity at all. And, that conversation really sparked something into me. I went to go talk to the director for the show. And he was like, yes, like your designs can be in the show. And that's when I had my first show. That was last October. And I just realized, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. Like being at a fashion show, I can't tell you. I get so many like chills seeing people in my designs. And so I realized like, yes, I really like this. So at that time, I was just creating pieces. But I would say kind of every show, the Streetwear Fashion Week was my 5th show that I've been in. But every show after that, it's just kind of adding into the more fashion side and styling the items. Before I would just make the items and however they want to style them, they can style them. But now I'm more into, okay, this is the piece and this is the look that I'm going for. Because I always had a look in my head, but like I didn't want to be that person that tells someone, this is what I want you to wear.
Right.
This is how you need to wear the item.
Right.
And I kind of would like for people to creatively express how they would like to wear the item. But now for this last fashion show, for instance, I was very particular on how I wanted the item styled. because I think with it being art, my pieces being art, it's also, I want it to be portrayed in a certain way. And so that's where my whole fashion thing come in. I would really say my first show and having that conversation with my friend, he really just, gave me a lot of encouragement and told me, your designs need to be out there. Like, you just need to keep doing you and your designs need to be out there. And that's why I was like, oh yeah, I can see myself in the fashion scene.
Yeah.
I definitely see myself in the fashion scene.
So streetwear fashion, when you said that was the most recent one. So that's September 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the one you did at Clark, you said Clark, Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you were in school?
Yes.
What year was that?
So that was last year.
That was
2021.
2021.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? So this was your first? Wow. So you've done 5 shows in a year.
Yes.
Yo, that is cool. How many pieces did you create for that Clark Atlanta show?
Okay, so I had 12 pieces for that show. So
damn.
Yes, that was pretty stressful, but it's fun. It's a fun stressful because you're creating and all that. But yes, 12 pieces. I also was in Atlanta streetwear market. That was pretty cool. I had about 60 pieces in that show.
What?
Yes, in that market I had about 60 pieces. Yes, so I was sewing like every single day, sewing.
Wow.
This past show, I only had about 10 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But really what I realized from doing the shows is that lots of times when the shows would come up, I would hurry up and I know I can sew, but I would just try to hurry up and throw something together sometimes because I just want more pieces to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm moving towards now is more intricate pieces. Really trying to show off my craft and make sure everything is put together. So like this dragon naragi that I made, it has a lining in it. There's very minor imperfections in it. It has a whole like a lining going around the whole piece. The spikes stick up on it. It's made out of upholstery fabric, a curtain, some other secondhand fabric. So that's something that definitely took probably around 6-7 hours total to make. But I'm really trying to make sure that my craft is being shown, not just of my designs. Because I feel like, you can easily put your designs and cut up your designs and just show them. But I want it to be a full piece, like a full, well done piece.
Yeah, I've seen that piece. And I will have the people at home that are viewing this, they'll be seeing it now. But like the inspiration, I'm curious about the inspiration behind that because that really just, like I stared at that probably at least 3 or 4 minutes, like just zooming in and looking at everything. Like what brought the inspiration for that?
So, okay. I have had the idea that I was like, I don't know where it came from, but I was like, I just want to put some spikes on something. I want to put some spikes on something. I need to figure out how to put some spikes on something.
Yeah, but these aren't little spikes. These are way beyond spikes.
I know, that's true. But it was, I just really wanted to put some spikes on something. And the whole time in my mind, I always get these thoughts and I'm like, I wanted it to be a dragon. Like I wanted it to give Dragon Slayer.
Okay.
And so when the fabric actually, the main fabric that it's made out of, crazy thing is this one time I went to Columbus, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half away from here. And I go thrift shopping a lot to find my fabric. But I actually stopped by a church. They were selling fabric and they're about to close. So I had bought some fabric, but then after that, they were like, you can take all this fabric. We need to get rid of all this fabric. Just take it up. And so they filled my car up with all that fabric. And I was like, wow, this is a sign from God that I just really need to keep doing what I need to do. So that fabric had been at my house and I was like, I'm not just going to waste a project on this. Like, I want to make something out of this that's really cool, that I really like. And so I had been thinking about the spikes and I'm like, I want to do some type of Dragon Slayer. And I know like the naragi, so that I believe that's a Japanese term. It's kind of like a kimono, but I didn't want the arms super long. I wanted them short. And then I wanted it to drape over your neck. And so I had just been thinking about that. And I was like, how am I going to make this? How am I going to make this? Trial and error. And I make my own patterns, but I actually didn't have a naragi to make a pattern off of. I really just had to kind of guess. I was like, I know how a regular sweatshirt fits. I know how I want this naragi to fit. And I just kind of went from there. And so that's why I really say it, where the inspiration, I don't know where it came from. I was just like, spikes, Dragon Slayer. And I'm going to see what fabric I have that can really go with this Dragon Slayer look. And It came. I'm so thankful for Dre. He wore the item. I told him, I had a conversation with him. I was like, Dre, when I seen you walk, I was like, I need you to wear this item. I was like, because there's nobody else here that can wear this. Like, I wanted somebody to wear it that had the swag that would show what I was trying to show. I didn't want somebody to just throw it on. And so he had the chains, he had the jewelry, and I was like, yes, like.
And the crazy part about this is like you created this, like there's no pattern for this.
Yeah.
You just created it.
Yeah.
So this fabric, all this fabric they gave you, why this particular piece of fabric that you chose? Was it the designs? Was it the colors? Was it the texture?
I would say mostly probably the designs. That fabric is actually really expensive. Like when you go to buy to the store, it's usually about $30 a yard.
It looks thick too.
Yes.
Like, and heavy.
It's very thick. And that was the other thing. I was like, I want it to be very thick. And so it's very thick. It's a woven fabric. And yeah, I was like, this has got to be the fabric to use. Because originally I was thinking maybe something like this jean material, but I'm like, this is very flimsy. You know, it moves around. That fabric is thick. And I don't know. I just feel like if you're a dragon slayer, you need to have something that's durable, that's thick on you. Like you wouldn't have something flimsy, like if you're doing that. And so I was like, yeah, I wanted something thick. And then for the lining, that was something that really came up last minute. I had this curtain sitting in my fabric shelf for a minute, and I was like, this is going to go perfect. Like, this is just going to go perfect. And it did. It ended up working.
I would love to see the full fruition of this Dragon Slayer, like, with the sword and the boots, like just a whole, we got to create a whole scene for that.
Yes.
Like, now I got that in my head.
Yes. That would actually be very nice. Yes, I would love that.
Now, your mindset, let's talk about how your mindset has shifted, like, so much in such a short period of time. Like you said, your first show was Clark Atlanta a year ago. Now you're here a year later, September 2022. And you said from the first show you would create it, let them wear it, whatever. Now you're already at a point in just 12 months to say, when you put it on, I want it worn a certain way. I want it to sit a certain way. Talk about that mental process.
I would say before I was just very lenient on what people thought about my designs, how they wanted to wear my designs. But now with all the work that goes into it, I feel like a lot of people, that's my fault too. I don't really show a lot of the work that goes into making the items. I just show the finished product. But the work that goes into the items is a lot. And I've realized that if I'm making these pieces, I should get to choose how they should be worn. Like, I feel like if I'm spending hours and hours and days, and lots of times I'll mess up and I'll have to seam rip the whole thing and then redo some things. And it's like, if I'm doing that, I feel like I want people to really see how I want it to be portrayed. And then also it's been being more confident in who I am, and being more positive about what I do. Because before I was like, dang, I don't want somebody to be like, oh, she's weird. Like, that's weird. Why would she style it like that? But then I realized, like, in fashion shows, it's just supposed to be seen. The items are supposed to be seen regardless. So if you like it or you don't like it, it's going to make you think regardless. You're going to see the item and you're going to think about what went behind it. Even if you don't like it, you might be like, dang, why'd they do that? But you're still thinking about it. That's still in your process of thought. So I've realized that I don't really care what people think about how I style them anymore. I just want you to wear it a certain way. And it's nothing about you, but it's when I choose my models, they exhibit a certain level of confidence and positivity and a certain level of they're comfortable in their own skin. And that's why I'm choosing them, because I know that regardless of what they have on, they're going to exhibit everything that I just said. So I would say that's really what it is. I just realized that your own validation needs to come from yourself. That you can't have validation come from others.
That part makes sense.
You just need to have your own validation from yourself. And that's what I realized in my designs, that if I want somebody to wear something a certain way, it's because I have this vision in my head and I want it to be seen. Like, I'll try it on at home, and the look, but I want it to be going down the runway. I want other people to see it than just myself.
Because when you say, like, and just explain that a little more, like when you say, I want it to be worn a certain way, like tell people what you mean by that when you say, I want it to be worn a certain way.
Okay, yeah. So For instance, well, the main thing, obviously, I feel like in fashion shows is I want my piece, whatever piece that I made, to be the most statement piece for the whole outfit. So
everything, your
yes,
whole line for that show.
Yep,
Okay.
everything. So like for instance, this piece right here, if I was gonna have somebody wear this, I wouldn't want them to wear colorful pants with this, or I wouldn't want them to wear, really cool shoes or something like that. Because yes, that's cool, but I want the first thing you look at to be my piece.
Got you.
And so that's one way, making sure my piece is a statement piece. But then honestly, it's a lot of trial and error. So I would tell you right now, every single piece that I made, I can't even tell you how many, over 200 pieces I've made. But every single piece that I've made, I always try it on first. If it's a custom, I'm always trying it on first.
Okay.
Anything, I'm always trying it on first. And then I get to look in my head like, okay, yes, this is how I want it to be worn. Like I'm gonna look like, okay, I might not have the item to go with it at my house, but I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, I want some black boots with this. Or I want some ripped skirt with this. Or I want some ripped shirt with this. Like, I'm just gonna look, honestly, that's my problem. A lot of people ask me, I don't really have a design book. I don't really draw my designs out. I don't really write my ideas out. They kind of just stay in my head. And then when I see them, when I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, this is how I want it to go. This is how I want it to go. So it's kind of like locked up there.
So this really is art for you.
Yes.
It really is art. So you're on a different level with it. So how do you feel like you can, I don't want to say reel it in. How do you feel like you can harness that? Because it's like an energy. How can you harness that and keep it as a brand to where it's duplicatable, it's sellable, marketable?
Yes, that's the thing. That's the thing that I have been thinking about, because I think all my pieces, I think what also makes them unique is that they're made by me.
Right.
And they're not just designs that are made by somebody else. So
you're not private labeling stuff, like buying something, just throwing your label in it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's why I think, that really makes me unique. But I've been thinking about how I could do that. But then I'm like, with me calling myself an artist as well, I always think about how my favorite thing really is fashion shows. I do like when people buy my pieces. I actually get like a lot of sales with people buying my pieces and people wanting customs. But I would say my biggest thing that I love the most is fashion shows, just because the amount of people that get to see the item, it's like, I would say, yes, it's definitely wearable fashion for sure, but it's really when people see the item and how it speaks to them. That's really what I like. So that's why I'm like, to scale, I think it would just kind of be like art almost, but it would be like exclusive art. Like it would be something that not everyone can get.
I can see that. See, I see, I can definitely see the growth in that, because when it's one of a kind, it's one piece, and even if you make it specifically for someone, there's the tag on it, the price tag on it will keep you sustainable as a brand.
Yeah.
So and it's also a story. Like you sit down and I see what you had on, I'm like, okay, this is cool. But then when you say this is from how many pairs of jeans, you say?
10 different pairs of jeans.
10 pairs of jeans. It's like, wait, what?
Right.
Now it adds another dynamic to it. So.
Right.
So 5 shows. Tell me about the other 3 shows that you had in between Clark and Streetwear Fashion Week.
Okay, so I did a fashion show at Morehouse. That one was pretty cool. I had some cool designs in there that I experimented with, some things that I haven't done before. I made a jacket out of a pair of pants, and the pants had a zipper going up the side. But then I was like, okay, let me take this zipper, make it the jacket zipper, and then turn it into a jacket. And that was really hard. That was really hard to me. I also did a GSU fashion show. I made one of my statement pieces for that show was vintage calendars from like 1965, 1950. It's crazy. I found them at the thrift store, and they were there. They were super cheap. It was like less than $1 probably per
calendars.
Piece. Yes, they're fabric calendars.
Oh,
Yes, it's
wow.
crazy. It's crazy. I'll have to show you a picture of those two, but
Yeah, so we'll show that to the audience when they see this video. But
yes. So the fabric calendars, I made a jacket out of that. I was really proud of that. That
what
was
fabric was that? Like, is it just what is that?
it's what is it? It's kind of like don't take this the wrong way, but kind of like a cheap washcloth. Like it's
Okay.
kind of it's in the middle. It's not exactly terry cloth and it's not linen, but I'm not exactly sure what fabric that is, but it's something old. Like you
I
don't
think I
see that
know.
nowadays. You
I
don't see
think
it
my
nowadays.
grandmother used to have those. Like some of them would have like the praying hands and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yeah,
That's
I remember
exactly
those
it.
fabric calendars. Okay. Okay.
Yep. So there's actually there's one that has I think the praying hands on it. And
Yeah.
so yes.
So you made tops and bottoms or just tops?
I just made a top out of it.
Okay.
I made a
Okay.
jacket out of it. The only thing is, for instance, with stuff like that, it becomes fragile. Since it's so old, they're fragile that when you're sewing with it and you're putting it on, you do have to be careful because that's something that can easily rip. Like if you're not safe with it, it will just definitely rip.
Okay.
But what other show? I did the GSU, the Morehouse show. I did Atlanta Streetwear Market. And then I also just did a small little capsule show. It wasn't a big audience, but it's still exposure regardless.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say my main thing too is for every show, I want new pieces to be out there. So I don't want it to be like, oh, I saw Shilaken at this last show. You're going to see my items, the same items again. No, you're going to see completely different items in a completely different look. So for instance, this show, I believe, Streetwear Fashion Week, I feel like it had a lot of versatility in it. So I had my one friend walk at the end. She had the fur 2-piece set on. And so it was very sexy. It had the fur around her arm. It had the fur bra, the fur skirt. And then she kills it. She knows that she kills it, but she knows how to walk. And that's why I had her walk last.
Right.
And, she really kills it. But then also in that show, I had the Dragon Naragi. So it's like, you don't know where you don't know what you're going to get from me.
Exactly.
Because, I bring the sexy, but then I also bring, the streetwear, the loungewear, but then I also bring random, like the Dragon Naragi. You would have never thought that was just going to be there.
That's definitely definition of couture. Like, because you are just really, you're letting your creativity go where it wants to go. And it's just straight couture.
Yes.
Now, where are you from originally?
I'm from Ohio.
Okay. And how long? So you came here for school?
Yeah. So I've been here since 2019.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of people talk about the term streetwear. And I feel like that term has been changing so much over the past, say, 10 or so years. I always tell people I use the term contemporary fashion is what I like to use now. Where do you feel you fit between just streetwear in general and like couture runway fashion? Like, what do you feel like you fit in between that?
Yeah, I would honestly say, I guess I'm kind of learning the meaning behind those words as well, because I see it interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I would say for me, I guess it just depends how you wear it.
Okay.
Because for instance, this I feel like could be couture if you wear it with more straight leg pants or something, or different shoes, and you put like maybe like a button up under it to show.
Does it have a hood?
Yes, it does have a hood.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Has the pockets on the side. But yeah, I think it definitely could be couture. But I would say right now, I kind of I don't put myself in any boxes, but I would say my brand has been kind of put in the streetwear right now, because that's every single show that I've done has to do with streetwear.
Okay.
And so, yeah, but I would say, honestly, I don't really think about that, because I would say, for instance, with that first set that I made, that's not streetwear to me, probably. Like, you probably would not consider that streetwear. Maybe if you put some high top shoes on it, then you could call it streetwear. But she wore heels and it was like a sexy outfit. So to me, that's not really streetwear. But I feel like, you can call it whatever you want it, and it's going to get seen regardless. So
we're still trying to find a lot of that. The industry is just so different right now, and there's so many, especially here in Atlanta, there's so many different places to go, like you say, for networking, for exposure. Explain to people a little bit the process behind, because was it streetwear fashion market? Is that what it's called?
Atlanta Streetwear Market.
Streetwear market. Explain how that is different from just doing shows.
Okay. Yes. So it was definitely different for me because Atlanta Streetwear Market, it's millions of people coming from out of state. They want to come shop in Atlanta for streetwear. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of people that have their streetwear brands, cool designs that you will never see anywhere. Mm-hmm. I would say there's not a whole bunch of people that do one of one. I do see some people that do one of one, but I would say it's not a whole bunch of people that do one of one. They'll do limited stock. So it might be, okay, I'm only going to sell 100 of this shirt or 100 of this.
Okay.
And so it was kind of, I would say, a little bit harder for me because since everything is one of one and I make everything myself, mm-hmm. It wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to tell the manufacturer, go produce this amount for me real quick. And then I come to the show. It was like I was grinding every single day mm-hmm. to make all these pieces. And it's like when people were coming to my section, it's like this, you have to flip through. It's like going to the thrift store. You have to flip through.
Okay.
It's not like, okay, here's this. Let me get this in my size. It's like,
so
okay,
it's just like it's so boutique much. Style. It's like whatever you find and it fits you.
Right.
Then you can, okay.
Then you can buy it. So I would say that's probably the difference would probably be like, fashion show, you have to see every piece because they're walking by you. Unless you're just looking down, you have to see every piece because they're walking by you.
Right.
At Atlanta Streetwear Market, it's like, yes, you can interact with people. They can come to your section, but mm-hmm. they have to stop or you have to show them a piece and maybe show them another piece. But they have to look. And then it's just like, okay, you're going to see a first set. And then you're going to see a jean jacket. And then you're going to see a sweatshirt. And then you're like, okay, what's the category here? Like,
right.
It's no organization. So it was definitely fun, but it's just different, because people aren't guaranteed to see your pieces.
So you got to sell. You can't be introverted and be there.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Not at all.
Do you have to do it multiple days or how does that, do you like rent space for a month or for a week or?
So it was actually a 2-day event. And so okay. I had space for 1 day. Mm-hmm. That was really as much as I could produce is for 1 day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just rent the space and then I had my friends there handing out the business cards and it's just interacting. And then it's like, for instance, this is a conversation piece too. Like
true.
You see this and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then when you find out it's made out of 10 pairs of jeans, you're like, oh, wow.
Right.
And it's like, it brings up something different. So that was another thing. It was easy with my guests or my customers to come in and I can talk to them because it's a conversation. Like you don't have to buy the piece, but now it's like, wow, this sparked something in you too. Wow, what is this made out of? Or, a blanket, a vintage blanket. And you're like, wow, where did you even get this from?
Exactly.
And then it's like, you made a sweatshirt out of it. So it's just like a story and you don't even know where the story is going to go.
So still to this day, like you don't use patterns at all?
No, I actually do use patterns.
Okay.
Yeah, I make my own patterns.
But not traditional, so you have your own pattern.
Yeah, I have my own patterns.
Wow.
Yeah, so nobody, I guess you could say nobody has the patterns I have because I make them. And I haven't made patterns for anybody, but yes, I have a lot of different patterns, like a pattern that I would use for this, a pattern for pants. But really what I do is I end up altering the patterns mm-hmm. to how I want the item to fit. So, a basic sweatshirt pattern that I have, I might bend it one way or fold it. I make my patterns out of just like craft paper. I just trace and see where I want to go with it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times I'll just, if I want to make this more skinny or make this more bulky or make this flare out or make it ruffled, I'll just alter the pattern in that way or just cut it. And that's another reason too, is because I'll just cut stuff one way that the next item I make is not going to be guaranteed to come out that way because I cut it for that specific piece.
Okay.
So the piece will be uniform, but there's really no way I can make that piece again unless I literally measured it and made a pattern off of that piece.
And you didn't go to school for this either, right?
Oh, no. I didn't.
What's your degree in?
Economics.
What?
Yes.
And your parents are probably like on you like, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. See, my whole mindset was that I originally wanted to do like business, but my school doesn't have a business major. Mm-hmm. So it's just econ. And I was like, I want to know the business aspect of it because I know that I'm creative, and I honestly feel like you can't teach creativity.
No, you cannot.
So
no.
Going to school for it would have been fun. Like that would have been very fun because it's like you just get to explore and that's your main focus.
Mm-hmm.
But I just realized that I'm like, I got to learn the business side. I got to learn the business side to make it successful.
Okay. That goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, like just being able to scale it, make it successful, running as a company. Okay. So tell us your IG again.
Shilaken Atelier.
Okay. And you have a website as well?
Yes, I do. It is shilaken.com.
Okay.
You can go on there to see fashion shows that I've been in, an archive of items that I've made before, and then my custom form will be opening up soon as well. Right now, there's no items to buy on the website, but I'll be putting the items up soon.
So we can't buy anything?
So you can't. Okay, so like for instance, shows. A lot of people see me after shows and they want to buy the items. So then that's a lot of times where I sell my items, or at like a pop-up shop. So it's kind of just getting in quick enough to see if you can get an item or placing a custom order.
So damn, so you do shows and a lot of stuff don't even make it back home.
Yeah.
That's talent.
Yeah.
That is talent. That is talent. What's next for you? Like as far as from growth and like where you want to be, like what's next?
What's next? Honestly, taking it day by day and doing what I love and taking it day by day, because I'm not sure what I want to do next, but I just know that if I keep doing what I like with sewing and coming up with these ideas and making these ideas, that it's just it has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. If you're doing something every single day, it can't just stay the same. It has to go somewhere. So I just honestly taking it day by day and letting life figure itself out.
You are such the artist. Like, oh, I'm just, wherever life leads me, wherever my designs go, I will follow.
Yes. That is exactly.
That's dope, though. I mean, I love it. Like, just the artisticness of it, like just the artistry, I guess I should say. The creativity, I understand being a creative. So I love it. I love the mindset. I love the pieces. And we definitely look forward to seeing a lot more from you in the future. And we definitely got to collab too. We're going to collab on some stuff. We're going to figure some stuff out.
Yes.
Figure out how we can work together. So that's Shilaken Atelier. Thank you so much for coming to see us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.